Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to today's video. This episode will guide you through the issues of the Uncanny X-Men published by Marvel Comics in 1981. Issue 142. Catherine and Pride is quite literally a mind out of time. In the year 2013, the last remnant of the X-Men team of mutant superpowered heroes, which she belongs to, is trying to save the world from an impending doom. The world they live in is on the brink of a nuclear Armageddon, as the Sentinels, which rule all of the North Americas, are about to launch their assault on Europe, who will then surely retaliate with nuclear missiles. These X-Men will try and prevent the Sentinels from even launching the attack, while they will have to protect the seemingly lifeless body of Kate. Kate's mind is not in her body anymore. Thanks to the psionic prowess of Rachel, a powerful mutant telepath, Kate's mind is inhabiting the body of her younger self in the year of 1980. She's on a mission to change the world, trying to change the history of her world from unfolding. Trying to prevent the events which led to the Sentinels getting reactivated and given carte blanche to exterminate the mutants, and, eventually, all of the superpowered beings in her timeline. After having convinced the current X-Men team of Kate's past that she is truly speaking the truth and not just hallucinating, they travel to the hearing room of the United States Senate, right on time to witness the arrival of a newly formed Brotherhood of Evil Mutants under the leadership of Mystique, who set out to assassinate Senator Robert Kelly for his investigations in the so-called mutant problem. And in Kate's past, the Brotherhood not only assassinated Robert Kelly, but Professor Charles Xavier and Dr. Moira McTaggart in the process as well. This is a story of two worlds and the child woman who sought to save them both. Mystique, from the get-go, make sure there is no mistake about what the Brotherhood's intentions are. They are here to end Senator Robert Kelly's life. And Kelly's death will serve to tell the rest of the world to not mess with the so-called mutant menace. Mystique and her Brotherhood of Evil Mutants are the epitome of that mutant menace. The X-Men are lining themselves up as a defensive barrier between the Brotherhood and their target Senator Kelly, and are prepared to suffer the consequences. An outraged Kelly orders the marshals present to arrest these mutants. But everyone soon finds out that ordinary humans stand no chance against the Blob, who tells Kelly that he's either the bravest or the dumbest man he's ever seen, as he simply slaps the marshal who tried to arrest him away. If he doesn't want to, the Blob cannot be moved by anyone, nor can any force on Earth hurt him, is what he says. His partner in crime Avalanche launches the first attack on the X-Men. With his mutant ability, he shatters the marble floor and makes the debris form into a tidal wave, creating a liquid fluidity out of a material which is normally as solid as a rock. And the X-Men are swept off their feet. But Nightcrawler, though, using his extraordinary acrobatic skills, manages to regain his balance and moves himself towards Avalanche. When Nightcrawler has maneuvered himself right in front of Avalanche, he quickly teleports and reappears again, right behind him, and sucker punches him, over and over again, catching Avalanche off guard and leaving him with only his armor to protect him. Luckily for him, his teammate, the Precog Destiny, knows where Nightcrawler is most likely to appear next, and she tells Avalanche to strike to the left, and he punches Nightcrawler right in the stomach. At that same time, Colossus is being attacked by the flame-controlling Pyro. Pyro knows that Colossus is not wearing any metal armor, but that it's actually his organic metal skin, and he wonders if it can melt, and he intends to find out. He creates a claw made from fire with the help of the flamethrowers on his wrists. Even though Pyro has the ability to control fire, he cannot actually create it. Wolverine lunges towards him, wanting to punch his claws right through Pyro's fuel tank and into his flesh. Storm tells him to not do this, and she uses her elemental powers to both create a whirlwind to pull Wolverine away from Pyro, but also to blast rain at Colossus to douse the fire which encompasses him. Wolverine is not liking this one bit, and asks Storm if she has flipped. Angel, who is carrying Kate, compliments Storm on her actions, because he's fully aware that the last thing anyone needs right now is more angst towards mutants by Wolverine carving someone up, even if it's a villain. Kate then tells Angel to find Senator Kelly because he must be protected at any cost. In the meantime, Professor Xavier and Moira are scrambling for their lives. Moira still has no idea what exactly is happening, and Xavier tells his colleague in mutant research and one-time lover Moira what he found out by scanning Kate's mind. He tells her about Sprite's body having been taken over by the mind and persona of her 30 years older self from the future. How the woman Kitty will one day become exchange places with that of her teen self. Moira says that that's insane, but Xavier assures her that that is exactly what is going on. They then get approached by an officer who tells them they will have to get themselves out of here. As they are being escorted to a supposed safe place, Moira tells Xavier that if this is really true, if time travel is truly possible and history is mutable, they will have to redefine their concept of reality. If they cannot be completely sure, if everything they know for a fact can change at any given moment, that is a frightening concept. Xavier then senses some sort of energy field, and it is around the woman who just escorted them. She is not what she seems, but it's too late. Even though Xavier spotted the electronic dampener field which kept him from reading the woman's mind, it won't do him any good. This woman was actually Mystique in disguise, and she has used some form of nerve gas on the both of them, instantly paralyzing them. And now, no longer being guided by Xavier and with only Storm as their inexperienced team leader, the X-Men will be fatally crippled according to Mystique. She thinks Xavier to be a truly dangerous foe, and should probably kill him here and now, but he might be of more use as a potential hostage. She then asks her partner Destiny what the future holds for them, and Destiny tells her that she's not sure. Beyond a certain point, the images this blind mutant sees become jumbled and difficult to read. There is some kind of random factor present. An anomaly striking the very heart of the time stream, and as long as that anomaly exists, nothing is truly certain. Destiny then tells her that she has tried to pinpoint the anomaly, but has not been successful in doing so. Mystique says that it won't matter. With or without the foreseeing help of Destiny, the Brotherhood will prevail. This anomaly is of course Kate Pride, who, realizing her presence here has not changed anything and that something must have gone wrong, wonders if all she has endured and gambled on was only for her to fail. And her mind wanders off, thinking about everything she has done and endured for this mission. How she has risked everything to try and stop the seminal event, the assassination of Senator Robert Kelly, which led to a future of Sentinels taking over North America, slaying nearly all superpowered beings and imprisoning a handful of others. How the remaining members of the X-Men made arrangements for Kate to be sent back in time, and for the rest of them to try and stop the Sentinels' attack on the rest of the world, which would get retaliated by a nuclear strike. Kate now realizes that history is proving to be far harder to change than anticipated, regardless of all her efforts. In the future, 3 of Kate's truest friends and her husband are slowly and carefully making their way through the ruins of Manhattan. Ironically for Kate, the most terrible part of their plans is that if they, including her, are successful in doing their part, the love that she and Pyotr Rasputin shared all these years might just vanish along with the Sentinels' occupation of North America. But that risk, that potential loss, was accepted, because there simply is no other alternative. They will have to do this. The X-Men keep running into Sentinels patrolling the area, which is not surprising since Wolverine successfully busted them out of their concentration camp in the Bronx, after which they destroyed several Sentinels during their escape. Wolverine suspects the Sentinels to be alert to the X-Men trying to make contact with the Canadian Resistance Army. But what they won't be expecting is that they will be attacking their main headquarters situated in the Baxter Building instead. They can see the Baxter Building right now from where they are standing, and they will have to hit hard and fast. If they are successful in doing so, they will hamstring the Sentinels' operations across the entire continent. Aurora will take the lead and Wolverine wishes her good luck. But Aurora tells him that she stopped believing in luck the day she saw her parents being slain before her eyes, while she herself survived the experience. She uses her mutant ability and lifts herself up in the air. All of her life, Storm has had so much respect for life itself that she has tried to refrain from killing even though she has killed before. And she will again if she must. In her own way, she has become as hard, as ruthless and as merciless as Wolverine has. Over the years, she has become so numb that she can't even hate herself anymore for this fact. Her soul simply feels tired. But for as long as there is still breath within her, she will do what must be done. As she has arrived at the Baxter building and sees a Sentinel sentry by the door, she immediately attacks it with an awesome and irresistible lightning bolt, and the Sentinel short-circuits instantly, falling backwards against the building and dropping to the ground below. It never knew what hit him. With this Sentinel being taken care of, the rest of the remaining X-Men arrive at the Baxter building as well. They drop off Rachel and Kate's seemingly lifeless body right here, relatively safe. And Colossus wishes he knew how his wife was doing in the past and wonders why it's taken so long. Rachel tells him that she doesn't know why. For all they know, their world might not change at all, and instead, Kate's actions in the past might just create an entirely different timeline altogether, an alternate parallel Earth. This whole time switch might really be a wasted effort, is what Wolverine says, and Rachel says that she is sorry. She just doesn't know. The front doors of the Baxter building are locked, and Wolverine says that Storm will have to sort that out as to not trigger any alarms. And Storm has not lost her touch. Since she was a little kid in the streets of Cairo, she had been trained as a thief, a pickpocket, and a burglar. Those days might have been hard days to her, but they were also happy ones. Even though this was many years before she found true happiness, when she used her mutant powers to become the goddess and weather witch Aurora in Kenya, helping the local villages. But regardless of all of this, picking lock still comes easy to her, and the X-Men have now gained entry to the Baxter building, the old headquarters of the deceased Fantastic Four. It contains some of the most sophisticated electronics on Earth, which is exactly why the Sentinels chose this as their primary base. But Wolverine knows that if the Canadian Resistance Army's intel is accurate, and the housekeeping systems are still operational, it is also their Achilles heel. Wolverine has an electric I-beam in his belt buckle which should activate the Fantastic Four's private elevator. And it does. The three of them step in the elevator and make their way to the top floor, where they will engage in the fight of their lives. Colossus asks Storm if she is nervous, and she says that she is. Somewhat. It is mostly her claustrophobia causing this, especially since she can't help thinking how the Sentinels could easily turn this tiny box into a death trap for them all. Back in the past, or actually the current day rather, the X-Men are also engaged in a fight for their lives, but this time against a brotherhood of evil mutants, and they are not doing well at all. Kate wants to help, but she doesn't dare to. In her timeline, the news reports made no mention of which one of these mutants actually killed Senator Kelly. Whether she likes it or not, Kate's duty lies with the Senator's safety. As for Storm, she is having her own internal struggle, as she is rapidly finding out that her debut as the team leader is turning into a fiasco, feeling she is failing Xavier's faith in appointing her as such. Cyclops would do a far better job, is what she thinks, but Cyclops is not here. She never wanted this position, but now that she has it, she is determined to not fail. She realizes the team is being hampered by the cramped space of the hearing room, and with them having to protect the innocent bystanders who are trapped in here with them. Something which the Brotherhood does not care about at all. More than anything else, what the X-Men need right now is more fighting room. And with that thought, Storm conjures up a hurricane blast of wind, catching everyone off guard, and hurls Pyro, Avalanche as well as Angel and Nightcrawler right out of the Capitol building and right onto the Great Mall. The fighting immediately continues outside, shocking the bystanders, some of whom think a bomb went off. Some reporters outside think they have a nice coup on their hands with the X-Men being here, and they are aware of the Senator's hearings having been scheduled here in the Capitol building today as well, and wonder if everything is alright. But before they get their answer to their question, Another shockwave rocks them all. With the explosive sound of fists against armor, Colossus gets launched out of the building, courtesy of the Blob punching him, who then jumps out of the building, aiming himself right at where Colossus is lying on the ground. The Blob has been training himself to manipulate his enormous mass, and he has now made his immense body so dense that it would squash Colossus if he lands on him. But Colossus is able to roll over just in time, making the Blob land right next to him, creating a huge hole in the pavement underneath him. Colossus has been hitting the Blob as hard as he can during their fight, but it seems to have no effect on him. It is like his body is made out of porridge. He hopes the impact might have stunned the Blob, but this is not the case at all, and as the Blob tears up the street, it sweeps Colossus off his feet. As cocky as the Blob is, he is telling Colossus that he could probably trash his whole new team of X-Men all by himself. While both teams are engaged in their individual fights, none of them noticed how the army has arrived in the meantime, armed with very special weaponry for occasions such as this one. One of the soldiers asks his major how they are supposed to sort out the good guys from the bad guys, but he gets a response telling him that it doesn't matter. The major tells him to trash them all now and they'll sort out the details later, and the order is given for the tank to fire its concussive cannon. This energy weapon, which has been built by Shaw Industries and copied after Iron Man's legendary repulsor rays, strikes with a deadly effect, right over the Blob's head and into Colossus' chest. The Angel tries to warn his teammate, but sadly to no avail, as he sees Colossus get hit and hears him scream out in pain. Another soldier fires a flamethrower, which turns out to be a bad idea, because of course Pyro takes control over the flame spraying out of the gun, creates another monster out of it, and has it attack the soldier who unleashed the fire in the first place, and the one standing close by. Angel then tries to grab Pyro's attention by flying close past the monsters, and it seems to work. Sort of, because while Pyro has the fire monster chase the Angel now, he sees that his teammate Blob is in trouble, because he is now getting attacked by Wolverine with his razor-sharp claws. Pyro splits up his creation in two entities now, and has one of them attack and grab Wolverine, while the other one continues pursuing Angel. Storm, who sees this happening, knows she has only seconds to act, because even Wolverine's healing power will probably not be able to counter the damage the fire will do to him. And in a blink of an eye, she climbs high above them all, and then blasts the fire creature apart, by using the speed and force she has gathered, and by slamming herself down through the heart of the monster, with the air around her acting like a wedge, which hits Pyro's creation like a battering ram. Nightcrawler immediately checks up on his friend and teammate Wolverine, who tells him that most of the fire was blocked by his costume, which is fireproof and made out of unstable molecules, and his accelerated healing factor is taking care of the rest of the burns already, but he's thankful for Storm's help, since a couple more seconds and he would have surely burned alive. As Wolverine is telling Nightcrawler that it hurts, Nightcrawler is fully aware that for Wolverine to admit that, he must truly be in agony. And then suddenly, Nightcrawler gets attacked by another Nightcrawler, who tells Wolverine that that is not him, that one of the members of the Brotherhood must be a shapeshifter. The two Nightcrawlers duke it out, and all Wolverine can do is watch, because he can't tell which one of them is the real one. He is still 2 days from the burns for his senses to sort out which one of them is really his teammate. So he pops his claws out from his forearms and figures the real Nightcrawler should be able to teleport himself away in time. But he then gets told by Storm to retract his claws. Wolverine, who is not in the mood for a debate, is telling her that that is not happening, because they are in the middle of a fight. Storm then tells him to stand down again, or he will have to use his claws on her. He turns around and furiously tells her that that can be arranged. Storm is surprised that she can tell that he actually means it, but tells him she is the leader of the X-Men now, and as long as that is the case, he will only use his claws on her command, and only then. But Wolverine tells her that he did not take that from Cyclops either when he was a team leader. Storm, adamant in her beliefs, tells Wolverine that he will take that command from her. She says that he possesses speed, strength, and an adamantium skeleton which makes him nearly invulnerable. That he should not need his claws, except for only in the most extreme situations against the deadliest and most powerful enemies. Reluctantly, Wolverine retracts his claws, and tells her he will do this her way for now, but that this conversation isn't over yet. Not by a long shot. And the same could be said for the battle they are engaged in, as they soon find out. As Avalanche tears up the pavement they are standing on, and they both get launched in the air. Storm tells Wolverine to grab her hand, and that she will fly him to safety. And Wolverine says that they wouldn't be in this situation to begin with if she hadn't picked such a dumb moment to get soft. He then asks who will help Nightcrawler, and the two Nightcrawlers both respond that they don't want help and intend to finish this fight on their own. As Colossus is running towards Wolverine, carrying a huge metal beam, he tells Wolverine that he needs his help to defeat the Blob. In the meantime, Angel notices Pyro's fire creature has given up on chasing him, and is heading towards the soldiers again. He will have to airlift them out of harm's way now. Wolverine, still on his hands and knees on the ground, gets told by Colossus what he has planned, and together they will use the laws of nature to counter the Blob's mutant ability. The plan is to use Wolverine's unbreakable adamantium body as a fulcrum, the metal beam as a lever between the Blob's legs, and Colossus' immense strength as a driving force, so they are actually able to launch the Blob high up in the air. And when Wolverine asks Colossus what he intends to do with the Blob when he comes down again, he gets told that no matter how awesome the Blob thinks he has become, Colossus will not be crushed by him or by anyone, and punches the Blob as hard as he can, knocking him out and right on top of Avalanche. With the two of them down and out, Storm now focuses her powers on their teammate Pyro. With the Angel having rescued all of the soldiers, all they have to worry about now is Pyro's ability to manipulate fire, which can be countered entirely given enough water. Storm then uses all her strength in her body and will to create a storm and control it. She is now not only able to warp the weather patterns for miles around the state, but also creates a monsoon in this tiny localized space of the mall. And neither Pyro nor his fire demon can stand against it for very long. That is now 3 members of the Brotherhood down. The two Nightcrawlers are still duking it out, and one of them seems to finally be getting the upper hand, and it turns out to be the true Nightcrawler. The other one reverts back to her natural looks, and realizing that this is the case, Nightcrawler is astounded to find out that her natural form is so much the same as his own looks. Mystique then taunts him by pointing out that maybe he wasn't as unique as he thought he always was, and calls him by his government name. Kurt asks her how she knows his real name, and who exactly she is, but all Mystique tells him is to go and ask his mother, Margali Zardos, because who would know better than she? They then get interrupted by Angel, who tells his teammate he has to leave because the army has not only taken the 3 Brotherhood members into custody, but are looking to add some X-Men to that as well. Nightcrawler says that they can't leave just yet, or they will have to at least take Mystique with them as well, because he needs more answers. He needs to know the truth after what she just told him. Even though this only took a couple of seconds, when he turns around again he finds out that Mystique is long gone, and with her mutant ability to shapeshift, they will probably never be able to find her again. As for Mystique herself, she comes to the realization that she has underestimated the X-Men, but never again. The Brotherhood will be rebuilt stronger than ever, and when the time is right, next time around, the X-Men will die. Storm then generates a fog to cover the X-Men's tracks, and she will make sure that Professor Xavier and Moira are unharmed, while the others rush off so they can change back into their civilian identities, and they will all meet up again at the airport. Wolverine says to Angel that it's too bad that he exposed his secret identity, because the feds will be coming after him for this mess, but Angel tells him that's why he employs the best lawyers in the country. Colossus then asks Storm what about Sprite, and why hasn't she returned to them yet? As a matter of fact, they have not seen the last member of the Brotherhood, the blind Precog Destiny, either. And then they all realize that this is not over yet, because Sprite is most likely still doing her best to protect Senator Kelly. In the future, Storm, Wolverine and Colossus have reached the top floor of the Baxter building. As soon as he exits the elevator, Wolverine can see one of the Sentinels straight away, and he asks Colossus to give him a fastball special so he can take out the Sentinel all by himself. Colossus picks him up and throws Wolverine using all of his strength at the seemingly unsuspecting Sentinel. With the speed of a missile, Wolverine approaches the Sentinel with his claws extended, ready to tear it up. But the Sentinel's reaction is even faster. Blasts Wolverine with his palm rays and tells him he's a pathetic organic being. And while Wolverine screams out in pain, as his flesh gets burned right off his adamantium skeleton, the Sentinel asks him if he was really that arrogant to believe he could approach and even penetrate their innermost sanctum undetected. It tells him that they weren't able to do so at all, but the Sentinels allowed them to get this far, only to be able to terminate them even better. This was all a trap. And as Storm and Colossus look in absolute horror at the smoldering remains of Wolverine's skeleton, the Sentinel tells them to yield now, or to suffer a similar fate. Horror then changes into anger, and Storm lifts herself in the air and unleashes her lightning bolt at the Sentinel, which destroys it. 2 more Sentinels arrive, and they radio in for even more support. The X-Men may be hurt, but they are not beaten, and have faced greater odds but have always triumphed, Colossus says. But the Sentinel responds to him that they can terminate 1 Sentinel, or 1,000, it makes no difference to the outcome. There are simply too many Sentinels, and eventually they will overwhelm the mutants. Colossus manages to topple it over and tells Storm to freeze it. She does so and conjures up a blizzard which drops the surface temperature of the Sentinel's hull far below 0, becoming so brittle that one of Colossus' punches should shatter it to bits. While she's attacking this 1 Sentinel, Storm's airborne maneuverability should keep her safe from the 2nd Sentinel behind her. It should, but it doesn't, and the Sentinel simply ejects a spear from one of its fingers, which punctures Storm's heart. She shouts out for Colossus in agony, and he rushes towards her, screaming out her name as well. He now holds the lifeless body of a woman who he regarded as a sister in his arms. A woman who, just like himself, thought that life was the most precious gift, and love the most precious celebration of that gift. And now she is no more. He was once a man of peace, ever gentle, but losing Storm now makes him cry, and as his hands are covered in Storm's blood, he can feel himself being overcome by a murderous berserker fury, which would rival Wolverine's. And he welcomes it all in, as he unleashes it at the Sentinel which killed his teammate, and punches the Sentinel through the walls of the Baxter building. In the streets below, Rachel's face is covered in tears as well. They are streaming down her face and she makes no move to wipe them away. She is holding on to Catherine Pryde Rasputin's unconscious body even tighter than before. Being a telepath, she could feel both Storm and Wolverine die in her mind, and she can now feel Colossus' rage as well. She wants to break contact, but she can't. And as she's thinking she does not want him to be alone when he dies, he is already dead. It ended so quickly. Ironically, she has experienced death so many times in the mind of others, yet is terrified of her dying herself. She wonders if Kate's body dies here, right now, will her mind be trapped in the past? If it does, she wishes her a happier life than the one she lived. The X-Men have done all they could do, and everything is now up to how successful Kate will be in the past. The past, where the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants member Destiny is holding Senator Kelly at gunpoint with her crossbow, and Kate is hiding close by, assessing the situation. Kate figures that Destiny, even though she is a precog, is not aware of Kate's own presence in the room they are in because of the time switch. Destiny tells Senator Robert Kelly that regardless of her colleague's defeat, victory will be theirs with her ending Kelly's life. Kelly says that murdering him will accomplish nothing. That yes, people will fear mutants as terrorists, but humanity will fight back and destroy them. Destiny responds to him that that might be a possibility, but that Kelly is a greater threat being alive. She then tells Robert Kelly to not even try to move to evade her crossbow, because she will sense his plans before he even makes them and fire her crossbow where he will be. Kelly says that it will not give her that satisfaction, that he would break her neck if he could get his hands on her, but what he won't do is run. Destiny laughs at that and tightens her finger on the trigger. And at the exact moment she wants to fire her crossbow, Kate faces through her body, causing Destiny's mind to trip. due to her mutant powers not being able to cope with Kate being the temporal anomaly that she is. And with Destiny being visually blind, she can't see Kate facing through her own body. All she senses is that this temporal anomaly is becoming a part of her and is consuming her, catching her off balance. And with Kate warning Senator Kelly and telling him to duck, all the while solidifying her shoulder to bump into Destiny's arm, the arrow Destiny fired only barely misses its target. And as soon as that happens, in that split second, an abyss opens within Kate Pride. Her reality starts twisting inside out as her past timeline has now gotten changed. And suddenly, she comes face to face with herself as a child. Innocent, vulnerable, and so much younger than herself, and impulsively she gives herself a kiss, as the winds of eternity sweep her back home to her own timeline. Storm then enters the room and asks Pride, who is on the floor on her knees, trying to gather her bearings, if she's doing alright. Disoriented as she is, realizing she's no longer in the danger room, all she can say is that she feels awful. Storm asks the senator if he has been harmed, and he asks who she is and who this child before him is. She responds by saying that she is Storm and the leader of the X-Men, and that she suspects that this child is the one person who just saved his life. She continues saying that mutants, just like humans, are both good and bad, and that Kelly would do well to remember that, before he seeks to condemn them all. Xavier, who along with Moira has just entered the room as well, reaches out telepathically to Storm, and she tells him that the authorities are on their way, so she has to leave and that they will rendezvous at Warren's private aircraft again. Robert Kelly then walks up to Xavier and Moira and expresses how glad he is that they are still alive. They are being watched by Mystique in her Raven Darkholm identity, who sees that her close friend and teammate Destiny has been captured as well, and she swears that neither her nor the other members of the Brotherhood will be in captivity for long. Sometime later, as the team is en route back to Westchester, New York, Xavier tries to explain to Kitty all that has happened while she was unconscious. She simply remembers nothing after passing out, apart from the feeling someone kissed her right before she woke up. Aurora thinks that it's for the best that Kitty doesn't remember anything, because if she herself knew her own future, Aurora would probably spend her life trying to change it. Kitty asks Xavier what he found out about Kitty in the future when he performed a mind scan on her older self, and Xavier tells her that Kate is as much a likable and admirable person as Kitty herself is, and that she will find out the rest about herself in due time. Warren asks Xavier if they have changed the future now that Kelly has been saved and with Kitty's mind having returned to her own body. Xavier says that he just doesn't know, and that literally, eventually, only time will tell. About a month later, Senator Kelly's committee has finished the hearings and submitted its report to the president. And on this chilling December evening, both Senator Kelly and his good friend Sebastian Shaw are summoned to the White House. Sebastian Shaw, unbeknownst to Robert Kelly, is not only a mutant himself, but also secretly a supervillain. They are welcomed in by the president himself, and he cuts to the chase. He has read Kelly's report and finds his recommendations dangerous. They may be unconstitutional and even criminal. He says that he finds it a draconian attitude, coming from someone who owes his life to the mutants known as the X-Men. Kelly reminds the president that that life was initially being threatened by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. If there had not been any mutants to begin with, his life would not have been threatened, at all. Sebastian Shaw adds that there is also the national security aspect to all of this. A group of superpowered beings, mutant or otherwise, a domestic anti-government one, or a group as such in the service of a foreign enemy, would be a serious threat to this nation, he says. And the president very well realizes that. Which is why, for the moment, the president's actions and this cabal's actions will remain top secret and covert in nature. This operation will be codenamed Project Wideawake, and he has appointed a man to lead this project and introduces Kelly and Shaw to him. This man is none other than Henry Peter Gyrick. Gyrick has been a government official for years and is well versed with superpowered beings. He will be solely responsible for Project Wideawake and will only have to answer to the President himself. His first priority will be to work with Shaw Industries to design and construct a brand new line of Sentinels. Gyrick tells the President that he will get those, and he then says that this mutant controversy will surely be resolved. If they find them to be a threat to the Republic, to the world, or to the human race in itself, these mutants will get dealt with. Permanently. Thanks for watching this video and I hope you enjoyed it. You can help growing this channel by liking, subscribing and sharing. This tells YouTube that the videos I'm making should be recommended to others and would be very much appreciated. See you next episode.